first, the latest on the coronavirus outbreak.
The COVID-19 situation is rapidly evolving.
A new coronavirus case has claimed the first victim inside the United States.
We are seeing more cases. We will see more cases.
Washington State declared an emergency.
Novel coronavirus infection, as has been recognized, is spreading globally.
The novel coronavirus fanning fears.
With more presumptive cases of coronavirus hitting multiple states overnight.
And travel advisories now at the highest level.
We are urging Americans to not travel.
And Wall Street suffered its worst week.
The Surgeon General issued a stern message on Twitter saying, seriously, people, stop buying masks. They are not effective in preventing general public from catching coronavirus.
We've contracted now with 3M to have 35 million more masks per month. The average American does not need to go out and buy a mask.
And we are having increasing cases in the United States. We know we can't stop it. It's here.
Coronavirus.
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 Wake up, get ready.
There's no reason to panic at all.
This virus may be on its way and you need to be ready.
This is not a test.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Disclosure TV. I think I'm working okay. So, if you watched my preview of my video, I put that on Twitter yesterday. I can load that up for you. If you don't know, I post every day on Twitter, and I don't know if anything's working correctly. Let me turn my volume up a little. I have to wait about 10 seconds before I can hear myself, so. So give me a few seconds. Okay, so I had to turn my mic up a little bit. Sorry about the echo. I can fix that real quick. So let me fix my mic real quick. And, but like I was saying, a while ago, So, like I was saying, I post everything on Twitter. Thanks everybody for joining. I don't come on very often. I work a lot. I do construction work. I can build anything. So, hopefully I just fixed my mic. Over the course of the last few months, I've been having problems. I've upgraded a bunch of stuff and had problems. So, anyway. So let's get to this. So if everything I post daily on Twitter. You can get on my live feed and you can see everything. Let me expand this real quick. You're probably hearing my phone. Sorry about that. So, all right, so if you look, I'm on my Twitter. everything I post on my Twitter. I do talk back. I do comment back. I like Twitter for the most part, except for their censorship stuff. I'm surprised they haven't taken most of my stuff down. So, if you haven't signed up or followed me on Twitter, you can do that. Just look up Disclosuretv on Twitter. It's at Disclosuretv_. So, as everybody knows, the last video I did was talking about the C virus, and that's when it was in China. And what happened in China was also we got hit by a plague of locusts, and that's just beyond me. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. They just got hit. They just got whacked twice right in the jaw. So, the new news is that pretty much it's spread all over the globe now, and everybody is panicking. Everybody is fighting for their lives. And the weird thing is that when the C virus was in China, the United States media was, it's bad. Our government was saying, oh, it's bad over there. Don't go over there. They put in flight restrictions, travel bans, and all that, saying don't go over there. They even pulled their people out. They started pulling citizens out. They started pulling government officials out. They say it's bad, bad, bad. Then it hits the United States. It hit Italy first, and I kind of figured once, and I think I made a post on my Twitter that said pretty much once it hits Europe, it will be here. And after Italy got hit, which their cases are still rising rapidly in Italy, after Europe got hit, I figured it would be here, and that's exactly what happened. It is hitting Africa right now. Africa has no healthcare infrastructure. They have nothing, so it's probably going to be worse than China. This is probably going to be worse than Ebola there. So now if you all don't know, first of all, I'm going to start out with what a lot of people don't know. So what a lot of people don't know is that the U.S. laws are preventing government officials from giving out information. First of all, basically a communicable disease or virus. When it comes to that, they basically they've made laws that prevent them from giving any information out. So basically they're going to lie to you, and I've actually just proven that today. So if you look at it, if you look at my Twitter right now, it says hold on. It says Washington reports 6 dead, and yesterday or the day before they reported 2 dead. And however, the day before, which was on a Saturday, Washington State had a press briefing stating that there was only 2 cases of C virus in Washington State. And later on that night, I had gotten information that said there may have been 7. And I did post that information, that there may have, that Washington State officials lied about how many patients they had that tested positive for the C virus. And they said only 2. And it turned out it was 7. And as of today, let's see, that was Saturday, so today's Monday, and as of Monday, Washington state officials are reporting that 6 are dead. So my information that was given to me was right on. And it says, as my tweet says, it says, as I reported yesterday, Washington officials lied about how many positive COVID cases they had, which was 7. 6 of those positive patients have now died, giving proof to my statement that they knowingly lied during a press conference. And that's part of what I was telling you, that goes to government officials have laws, have federal laws and federal guidelines that they have to go about when a outbreak like this happens. And basically they say, we're not going to give you any real information. Florida's having that problem because they think it's going to affect the public, and it is, because the government's feeding you information saying that it's not a problem, or we don't have that many cases. Well, what happens when that many cases start to develop? You don't tell anybody, and it's too late. And basically, our government is trying to keep a panic from happening. However, what they're also doing is preventing people from preparing. And if you watch the first part of my video, the first part of my intro, I showed where the Attorney General went on Twitter and basically tweeted out, seriously, everybody stop buying masks. It's not going to help against the virus. And that same day, in a press conference by DT and Mike Pence, Mike Pence said, don't go out and buy masks. Don't panic and go out and buy a mask. Then one sentence later, he said he contracted with 3M for 35 million masks a month. That was just for 3M. And they have other contractors that's going to make more. So they're telling everybody not to buy masks, but the United States government is making 35 million a month or more. But don't panic. So why would our federal government spend that much money on N95 masks if there was nothing to be worried about? You know, especially that many. He was talking about having 43 million masks on hand, and they need 35 million more per month. And that's ridiculous. To tell the American people don't prepare for something is irresponsible. It's irresponsible, and that shouldn't happen. And they should word it differently. If they wanted to give out information, give it out, but don't tell the American people don't prepare. And basically that's what they're doing. And Washington state officials and doctors basically saying, the virus is here. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And I'm actually going to show you a link I found, a direct link between that virus and another virus. So the CDC finally was able to get testing, a proper test. All the other tests had failed, and they are able to test now. And as of right now, New York has been hit with the C virus. Chicago, Northern California, Washington, Florida, I think maybe a few other states. It says 10 states. I believe it's probably more than that because, like I said, the laws that we have are going to make it hard for us to even know how many real cases there are. I'm hearing somewhere around 350 positive cases. That's what I'm hearing. That was as of a week ago. And I wouldn't tell everybody to panic, but I would tell people to get ready. If doctors and state officials are telling people it's here, it's going to spread, there's nothing you can do about it, and then our federal government's telling you the opposite, I mean, what do you do at that point? And I just wanted to start that off first of all. So I've actually found a couple of links to how or why this has all started, even down to because that's what I do. I investigate. Majority of my live streams are showing you science investigations, showing you, you know, what events are, what things are, what this V is, you know, what the C virus is going to be, and I found a lot of information on it. Such if you watched my very first video, I showed you that more than likely that the C virus was released. It was released by a human being. It didn't come from a food market. It didn't come from an animal. More than likely, there's a 99% chance that it was genetically engineered and it was released. Now, whether that was on purpose or whether that was accidental is beyond me. I'm actually trying to find more evidence to support that, and I'm going to show you a little bit of evidence that may support that today. So, there's a couple of things that I know about what's going on. One is it's said that Chinese officials who are scared to death are saying that China wanted their population to be under control, so they released this genetically engineered virus. Well, the thing is where did this virus come from, and how was it genetically engineered? Well, the thing is that this has the footprint of the flu, and that's what they started out saying was it was the flu, and this may take place of the flu, and that's also something that you need to think about right there. The flu comes around every year, correct? Comes around every year. The CDC or the WHO has told me or has reported that this is not the flu at all, and it didn't come from the flu. And a lot of people are saying that this may replace the flu. So if you don't understand what that means is that the flu comes around every year. Every year during the wintertime, the flu comes around. And scientists say when spring and summertime hits, the flu goes back down south into the back down south towards the equator. It flip-flops with the seasons. It's during January, it's winter here. In January, south of the equator, it's summertime. So it flip-flops. So during our summertime, it will be wintertime in the southern hemisphere. Well, the problem is that the way they explain how the flu develops and how it transitions to the northern hemisphere is that the flu is always here. It'll come around every year. But scientists are now saying that it's going to replace the flu. So the problem I see with that is that, as what we know is that the CV virus didn't come from the flu. It is in the same family, but it didn't come from the flu. It wasn't mutated from it, and we know that. This particular strain was a mutation of H1N1, and that's what we do know. And the problem I see with their logic is that if the flu never shows up again, and this is our new virus, this is the new flu, the COVID-19 is our new flu, and it just so happened that the flu never shows up again. Our seasonal flu, our old seasonal type of flu, never shows up again. And COVID-19 is no part, it didn't come from it. So where did that flu go? So where did the original flu go that we get every year? We've gotten every year for, I don't know how long, thousands, maybe thousands of years ago. I don't know, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, however long the flu's been happening. That type of virus is just not going to stop, especially when this new virus didn't mutate from that. Now, maybe if it did mutate, that type of flu would gradually die off. But the fact that it just may completely stop, that's kind of weird. That would make people think or insinuate that the flu was human made and it was engineered, and if it never shows up again, that will give some evidence that to what a lot of people think is the flu is engineered, and it's basically released every year. And to be honest, I just don't believe that the flu goes back down south and migrates like a bunch of birds. I just don't believe that. But that's me. I just don't believe it migrates like birds. So, if our regular flu never shows up again, that will mean that will give some evidence showing that the flu was engineered. Our regular flu was engineered. It was released every year. That would give some evidence to that. So, the next thing I have, and I wanted to show you, is the scientists are saying COVID-19 came from H1N1. So this is COVID-19. This is the cell for that. This is a microscopic view from an electronic telescopic microscope. This is, if you look at it, you can see the little hairs coming off of it. Those are basically mold. Almost looks exactly the same thing. It kind of, basically, they're barbs, kind of. They prick into a cell, inject themselves into a cell, just replicate and destroy it. That's basically what it does. They're also calling the C virus a disease now. How they got that to be a disease, I will never know, because unless they expect the effects or continuing effects from this virus,
be a long-lasting event, or it wouldn't be a disease. It would just be a virus, and they're calling it a disease, and they're trying to get rid of the virus name. Virus sounds too scary, so it's not a disease. It's actually a virus. So the virus, this is, like I said, this is the COVID virus. This comes straight from the CDC. Now, this is another type of flu. This type of flu created H1N1. I'm not going to tell you what this strain is yet, but what you're seeing on your screen was created by H1N1, or the COVID came from this. It didn't come from this strain, but this strain right here was. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. This strain was. This is basically H1N1's predecessor, and they're saying the virus came from H1N1. The flu isn't H1N1. So you're probably wondering what. Hey, what's up? You're probably wondering what this strain is. Well, I'm going to tell you. Before I tell you what both of these strains are, I want to tell you what their symptoms are. So, the symptoms to both of these strains are flu-like symptoms. So if you imagine the flu, coughing, sneezing, fever, runny nose, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the red cells isn't H1N1. But H1N1 came from these cells. And it took, I think 2010, they put these cells together because they basically couldn't get a, they finally find a live culture for these, and these are old cells from 2010, but both of these have the same symptoms, and the only other symptom they both have in common is pneumonia. So the red cell has flu-like symptoms. The green, yellowish looking cell has flu-like symptoms. And they both have pneumonia as a symptom or an effect that causes, from the sickness that you get, it causes pneumonia. Both of these do. And and as you can tell, they both look alike, exactly alike. if I didn't say what's up to everybody, hey, I don't have but 2 people watching, but that's okay. I don't mind. That's 2 more people. I actually even thought about quitting because nobody ever watches me anyway. But I try to help Mark Fugle out as much as I can and give him as much information as I can. So back to what I was saying. So the as I said, both of these come from they both have the same exact symptoms, and I'm going to show you what each of these are. So let's go to COVID. So COVID, it says it's transmitted through cats. It's part of SARS-CoV. Like I said, it's not part of the flu. And they're trying to say this strain came from cats and animals and blah, blah, blah. But it didn't. Common signs of infection are respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, breathing difficulties. In more cases, infection can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, even death. Now, this is the C virus. And that information comes from the World Health Organization, which I'll tell you about in a minute. By the way, it's kind of funny. So that is that cell right there. So what are these red cells? Where do they come from? They are part of it. H1N1 come from this. So what are they? This is what those red cells are. The red cells are 1918 Spanish flu, where 50 million people died. The Spanish flu, H1N1, was the predecessor to the Spanish flu. Okay, now COVID-19 came from this particular line of virus. What are the symptoms of Spanish flu? What killed 50 million people? Nausea, aches, diarrhea, fever, all the normal flu symptoms. That's what it says. Many developed severe pneumonia attacks. Dark spots would appear on the cheeks and patients would turn blue. Well, of course, that's caused from the lack of oxygen. Suffocating from the lack of oxygen as lungs filled with a frothy, bloody substance. That is exactly what is happening with COVID-19. So if you're not understanding what I'm saying is that COVID-19 is the killer flu. It's the 1918 Spanish flu that killed 50 million people. That's exactly what it is. It didn't mutate from the flu. It mutated. This strain was more than likely a bioweapon, as I said in my last one, but I couldn't figure out where it came from. Basically, it's a less lethal, it seems to be a less lethal, but still lethal virus that's connected with the 1918 Spanish flu. That's basically what it is. So, COVID-19 is the 2020 Spanish flu. Or I'm sorry, it started in 2019. So it's the 2019 Spanish flu. And the weird thing is, the Spanish flu didn't start in Spain. The reason the Spanish flu is named the Spanish flu is because majority of people started dying there during the war. So a lot of people died during that, and they was unaware that this was going on in another part of the country at the time. So they thought it started there, so they called it the Spanish flu. So soldiers were going back and forth, and it was during wartime. Soldiers were going back and forth. Transportation just got started. They didn't know anything about containment and quarantine or any virus stuff like that. There was no medicines for it. So that's how the Spanish flu killed so many people. So the Spanish flu actually started in the same place that COVID started in, China. They think they don't know for sure it was China. They just say Asia. So basically they're both the same thing. What people are contracting is a engineered version. I'm gonna assume that the people who genetically engineered the COVID-19 engineered it from the Spanish flu. That's where it came from. It has to be where it came from. They both have the same symptoms. They both have the identical patterns. Actually, if you break it down further, and I didn't put that in here. If you break it down further and look into the cells to see the proteins in the cells, both are exactly the same. And I didn't put that on there on the show. So the genetic makeup of both are similar. They both do the exact same thing. It's the only flu that you can get. The Spanish flu is the only flu that you can get that comes with pneumonia. That's why the Chinese government went freaking haywire and went into quarantine mode when this flu came out, and people were getting pneumonia from it immediately. So, that's what's going on. Basically, you're looking at the Spanish flu, and COVID-19 was engineered from it. That's why I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, I know I've heard of this before. And just like the Spanish flu, the number one reason 50 million people died and it spread globally was because of transportation. So basically, we're doing the exact same thing that, we're taking the exact same steps that now that they did in 1918. And that's why the reason for the travel ban, that's why they wanted to stop it. That's why people are dying, is because basically you're looking at the new Spanish flu. So now you're probably asking why was it released all of a sudden? As in the other video, China said that I heard officials were saying that it was for population control. I don't know. how many people in China anymore. There's so many people in China, they have to prevent parents from having any more kids. And you're only allowed to have males, and females are adopted or put into camps or something. They're put into closets and hidden from the government and everything. And so you're like, well, the thing is that the death rate for the Spanish flu and the death rate for or the ending death rate for the Spanish flu based on total population and how many people died, and then the total amount of COVID people that are catching it now is between, the death rate is between 2 and 4%. So the death rate of both are exactly the same. And, you know, that's weird for everything to match up to the Spanish flu. That's just, that's no coincidence. So, I'm going to go off the camera real quick, but I'm still talking. I just wanted to get my face out of there a minute. So, the United States is saying they don't have a patent for any of this. Or they don't have a cure. It's going to be 12 to 18 months. Companies are applying to the government, applying for sending in applications for immediate investigation and immediate. They want to be able to immediately start producing a cure. And they've received thousands of applications already. But the number one company that started all this, what was that? Somebody's here. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Anyway, is the number one company that started all this was Gilead Sciences. Now, Gilead Sciences applied for a patent that Google has now taken off. Snopes is even reporting that the patent that Gilead Sciences had put out is fake. That's not real. It don't have anything to do with it. It does. And Google took the patent off, and Snopes actually reported it as being fake. Now, these are the patent information that I showed you that Google no longer has on their, Google no longer has. It's all gone. If you look at the top, it says Gilead Sciences Incorporated. Well, guess who the United States government is contracting the cure to? Gilead Sciences. Well, if you look at the worldwide applications that have been received by the United States, Japan, Mexico, Australia, the Eurasia, European Union, China, I forget, the United States, it says Korea, that's KR is supposed to be South Korea. Canada, Taiwan, every one of the, and then 2019, the U.S., and that 2019 was because of the outbreak. Well, the thing that all these have in common is every one of these are U.S. allies. Every one of them are U.S. allies. And you know, that's odd. You know, that's just odd. Let me fix this patent real quick. There's another piece of it, so I gotta fix it. Well, I guess it's in behind that one. Or maybe I don't. I know I have it. So anyway, all this started from somebody bioengineering, reverse engineering the Spanish flu. Somebody released it either accidentally or, like I said, accidentally or purposely. And this does say, if you look on here, this is a patent. Methods for treating the C virus infection. August 22nd, 2019. However, this patent, this says 2019. Now, this came along with this. Both of these go together and come from the same place. These are the same patents. Both of these are. They come from the same place. They go with each other. So they already have a cure for it. There's the cure. There's the patent for the cure right there. It even says, continuation of application number filed on September 16, 2016. (9/16). So this one is a continuation from here. So they have the cure. The fact that Snopes said it's not the cure is beyond me. It's deleted off of Google. And the fact that they're hiding a patent for a virus that came. Dude, there's more evidence that's showing that this was purposely released than it wasn't. Now, my only other theory I can think of, besides population, is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not for any political. I try to keep my political beliefs out of it, but our government is corrupt either way. To me, whatever president is president, it doesn't matter to me. They're all going to lie. They're all going to steal. They're all after everybody's tax money. So, the only other thing I can think of is that it's 2020 and it's an election year. You know, it's an election year. The president is on his first term. The president's on his first term. And it's not likely that he won't be reelected. And I'm just throwing it. I support our president. That's who I choose. I'm going to go ahead and say it. But when I'm doing the news, I leave my bias out of any of it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I support President DT, but I leave my personal bias out of the news. And what I'm getting ready to tell you will prove that. So presidents who are bad or who didn't do so well as president on their first term are likely not to be reelected for a second term, such as President DT. Well, the only time that a president who has done something not so good or he wasn't a great or in other times that presidents were elected that for a second term where they weren't a great president was during times of war or chaos. So with the C virus happening right now and it being as big as it is, it's plunged the globe and the United States into chaos. So it's, as of right now, it's not, if this keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going, it's not likely that we'll switch any president. Usually we don't switch presidents in the middle of a war or where there's a chaos. People just don't like doing it. The system will not switch it. So the question is, since we know that and we're not at wartime, and we know that President DT had a large chance of not being reelected, is it a possibility that this was released purposely for that reason? I'm not saying it is. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, that's a far-fetched idea. Even for me, that's far-fetched. But that could be, that's the only that's the only two reasons I can think of. And if you're just now joining and you're just now watching, what I was explaining is that we know for a fact there's enough evidence to prove that the C virus was released on purpose. It was genetically created. I showed a little bit of proof about where it came from. And that is connected to the Spanish flu. So, what are the two reasons why it was released? Either A, population control, or B, it's an election year and a president is not likely to be reelected. And bad presidents only get reelected during times of war, not times of chaos. So could that have been released on purpose? So that's a 100%. So it increased a 100% chance that somebody was reelected again. Like I said, dude, my personal preference for our president is President DT. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but I have to follow the news and I have to follow the investigation and I have to follow the information where it takes me, whether I like somebody or not. And that's what keeps me legitimate. And that's what keeps my news bias-free. So is it possible that somebody released it in order for our president to run, to basically now, as of right now, he's got a 100% chance of winning. If the C virus keeps going the way it is, basically there's a 100% chance that he will keep his presidency. And had this not came along, had this chaos and this huge event not happened, he probably wouldn't have been reelected. You know, Bush Jr. had 9/11 not happened, he wasn't going to be reelected. That was a known fact. He probably wouldn't have been reelected. He was ignorant. The man was ignorant, and Dick Cheney ran everything for him. Also, he was just a face in an office. You know, so, you know, had 9/11 not been there, he wouldn't have been reelected a second term. And if you go back and look in history, the media will even tell you, hey, a lot of the times presidents start war just so they can have a second term. That is a known fact. So is this President DT, is the C virus President DT's war so he can stay into office? And like I said, I support President DT. He's my pick for president. But like I said, I follow the evidence where it goes. And that's a far-fetched idea that President DT allowed something like this to happen or created something like this to happen. I'm just saying that's the only other idea I have besides population control. That's the only other reason I have. Right now, this is a nursing home in Washington State. A CV patient from a nursing facility was being taken out. Actually, several. All these firefighters and these ambulances, the firefighters and the medical people you see in this video, they were all quarantined. Over 10 people were quarantined. This is Kirkland, Washington, and all these people were quarantined, all of them, because that patient they just stuck in the ambulance has the C virus. This next thing is from Northern California, where people are panicking so much that
all the way there.
I'm not exactly sure what county this is.
Oh, no.
Wow, you are so...
This next one is New York. I didn't put that on there, that the C virus latest. But this, that's what's happening in New York. This one is Costco in Washington.
Way different.
Washington State.
Nope, we're not going to go. Way different.
So,
nope, we're not going to go.
if the doctors did say that all this planned to get out of hand. All of it did. They planned for it to get worse. Let me show you the video real quick. I want to re-show you the video that I made yesterday as a prelude to tonight's show. I want to show. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you that, why create that many masks? Why tell the United States people, hey, don't go out and buy masks because it's creating panic. People see people wearing masks and it creates panic. That's why they're telling you not to buy a mask. And that's why they're telling you not to panic shop and all that. So, when is the right time to panic? When? When is the right time to? They're telling people not to prepare. When is the right time to prepare? There's always going to be a panic. They're postponing the inevitable. The thing is that general people like me and you aren't ready for something like this. We haven't stocked up. We don't have the means to shelter in place for 6-7 months, a year, 2 years, or even any of that. We don't have the means to do that like the government does for each and every one of their employees. The thing is that you can't, in times of crisis, yes, listen to them a little, but you need to use some logic with what you're listening to. If they're telling you not to prepare, your best bet is to prepare because they're already prepared. They have people that's going to take care of them. They call that the Army and our military. If you've ever noticed when a natural disaster happens, the federal government doesn't prepare by helping people beforehand. They prepare to fix and repair afterwards. That's what the preparation is for. If they used our resources to prepare for a natural disaster before the fact that they knew was coming, that would save more lives. They're preparing for the after effects, and that's what they usually do. That's what FEMA does. You don't see FEMA showing up prior to a disastrous event that they know is going to happen. They leave it to general citizens, they leave it to the general public to prepare how they see fit. So if the government's telling you not to prepare for a natural disaster, and you listen to them, you're just dumb for doing it. You're just dumb for doing it. So I just wanted to show you all that. If you don't mind, share my show. Share it on Twitter. Watch it. Share it on Facebook. Share it everywhere you can find. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'm going to jump off of here. And peace out, everybody.